Hey everybody, my name is Joe Pace. Welcome to Icewater Yoga. Today's class is a full body recovery class where we're going to try to be as efficient as possible, doing almost at all times more than one thing at once. So the goal for today will be to move incredibly slowly and with really deliberately and with purpose. And by doing that, it gives us more of an ability to do two things at once while we go. So yeah, we're going to get a lot in this short amount of time. This is really designed to be a beautiful off day practice. If you challenge yourself through the week, Monday through Saturday, maybe this is your Sunday morning class, something along those lines where you're not working so hard. You've already put in a lot of work, and this can serve as a nice middle ground between really passive, gentle recovery and full-on training. So somewhere in the middle, but mostly focused on recovery. Okay. And so to get into that mindset of recovery, I'd highly recommend finding a comfortable seat. You can take an uncomfortable seat if you want. Comfortable is going to probably be a little bit better, I would think. And actually, before we get going, you do have the option of having a strap, a belt, or just something that you can wrap around your legs and limbs without it ripping on you, something pretty long. That'll be good. And I'm sitting on a block right now, and something firm to sit on is always a good option for certain seated poses. Okay, so now that we've talked about props and we found our comfortable seats, you can bring your hands to a comfortable position on your legs, palms face up or down. I'll take palms up. And you can bring your eyes to a close, stacking every vertebrae on top of one another. And we're just using these first few moments of class to just settle into our breath, settle into our body, and move out of the mode that we were just in. There's a tendency in our lives and in our culture to constantly be doing, constantly being in a mode of output. And as mentioned before, that word deliberately comes into mind here. We want to deliberately move into a state of input. This is an input class where we're putting in good into our body. So letting go of any notions of what your body is capable of, or figuring out what your body is capable of. That is not the goal of today's class. The goal will be to just treat the body well, regardless of what the output looks like. Last few breaths here, please. Gently open the eyes, feeling as though we've come into a new headspace just for that short amount of time. And we'll take downward facing dog. So remove the block if you had it, and a really great pose to start off with our theme of doing multiple things at once, because this is very much an active pose and also a very restorative pose. So we'll set it up. We have the hands at shoulders width. Sometimes I'll see hands at mat's width. It's actually probably a little too wide. Bring your hands in closer so they're literally the width of your shoulders, or the center of your palms are at the width of your shoulders. As you lift your hips and draw your heels towards the mat, but knees can be bent to any degree if you feel like there's any tension in the back and you can't do this without rounding in the upper back. If you do find that you're rounding in the upper back, knees bent is good. Walking the hands forward a little bit more is good. And so let's make this pose as restorative as possible. It's inevitable. We can't avoid the physicality of the pose. So continue to lift the hips and draw your heels towards the mat as you engage your quads. Breathe deep. Feel the multitude of things going on right now in this pose. Just being here, always option to take this pose on the knees, so knees to mat. And that's actually where we're going. So from here, please rock your weight forward about halfway towards plank. Bring your knees to the mat as your shoulders come over your wrists. Lift your chest, lift your tailbone. Inhale. Exhale, press the mat away, duck your tailbone, tuck your chin. Inhale, back to neutral and back to downward facing dog. So let's flow through that a few times. Inhale forward, drop the knees. Continuing the movements here. You've already exhaled. Now you're inhaling up through the chest, up through the tailbone. Press the mat away, duck the tailbone down, spread the shoulder blades. Inhale back to neutral, press it back to downward facing dog. Just a few more times, feeling the movement in your body. Rock it forward. Knees to the mat. Inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, tailbone tucks, chin tucks. Back through center, press it back, downward facing dog. Hips lifting, heels descending. Rock it forward. Knees drop. Inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, shoulder blades spread, tailbone tucks. Back through center and back to downward facing dog. We'll take it through one more time. This time we drop the knees. The right foot steps forward. The left foot steps forward to meet it. Take the knees into a pretty deep bend. Let the upper body rest on your legs and grab opposite elbow with opposite hand. Let your body hang. Let your spine release. So simultaneously getting a little bit of a stretch in the low back, releasing the spine, doing multiple things at once. You have the option to grab your feet or the back of your heels and then lift through your hips to pitch your body forward. Feel the stretch in the hamstrings. This is pretty active. Keeping the torso resting against your legs. You can also just continue to grab opposite elbow with opposite hand. From here, hands will plant into the mat. Step the left foot back, left knee down. From here, we'll rise up into a low lunge and grab the left wrist with the right hand, reach tall. And then come over to your right, pulling gently on the left wrist. If this is too much pressure on the left knee, you can put your knee on a towel or fold your mat in half so it's a little bit softer. Come back through center. Plant the hands down. You can also place the hands on blocks. Draw your hips back, toes towards your face for this half forward fold. Lifting through the chest. You don't have to bring the knee to full extension. You can keep the right knee bent. Just make sure you're lifting through the chest for 2. 1, rock the weight forward. Left foot steps forward. Right foot steps back. Right knee down. Inhale, arms rise. Grab the right wrist with your left hand. Reach tall. Come over to your left into a side bend. Let the hips lift as you come over for 2. And 1, come back through center, plant the hands, step the right foot forward to meet the left. From here, roll up to standing all the way from your lowermost vertebrae to your highest. Arms come overhead, maybe a gentle back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Knees bent to any degree is okay. Inhale, half lift, crown of head forward, tailbone straight back. Plant your hands, step your left foot back, left knee down. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hands to heart center. You'll have your right knee right over your right ankle. As you twist over to the right, left elbow on top of right knee. Lift through your chest. Keep the hips in line with one another for 3, 2, 1. Coming back through center, arms rise. Exhale, plant your hands. Left foot meets the right at the front of your space. And we'll take the other side. Right foot back. Right knee down. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, hands meet at heart center. We'll take a twist over to the left. Right elbow just gently touching the right knee or left knee. You can always just twist without any pressure into the elbow or bringing the elbow across the knee. But if it's available, take it. Gently rest on it for 2. 1, come back through center, arms rise. Exhale, plant your hands forward, step your right foot to meet your left. Inhale, knees bent is okay. Half lift, come past halfway to lift through the upper back. And then forward fold, exhale. Inhale, arms rise from the sides, deliberate with your movements all the way up. And then arms by your sides, palms face forward. Inhale, arms rise, grab the left wrist with your right hand, right palm facing up, reach tall. Come over to your right, pull gently on the left wrist as you plant down through the left foot, side body stretch. Back up through center, right wrist with the left hand, reach tall. Over to your left, breathing into the right rib cage, pulling gently on the right wrist. Inhale up, and then exhale, fold. Knees bent, any degree. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Rest your torso on the upper thighs. Plant the hands on the mat. From here, we're going to try to straighten through the left knee. So it doesn't have to come all the way to straight. That is okay if it's really fine if you don't. Okay, now from here, feel the stretch come up the leg as you internally rotate the standing leg. Feel the hands supporting the pose. Feel your torso resting against your bent right knee. Come back through center. Attempt to straighten the right leg. Any degree is okay. Just the action of doing that should feel pretty active. And it's not extreme. We're not fully pressing the right foot away from us, but just feel the stretch come up the leg. Coming back through center. From here, plant your hands down, knees bent deeply. Step your left foot back. We're going to stay up off the left knee. So you can always bring hands to blocks if you feel really tight. You can also walk your back foot in, keeping a bent back knee if you'd like. All right, somewhere in between is okay as well. Left hand will plant firmly against the mat. Right hand to right knee as you twist it open to the right. Gentle twist. If this feels okay in your left shoulder, maybe the right hand comes up overhead for 2. 1, right hand back to right knee. Right hand back to floor. Rest the upper torso on your right leg. Left foot comes forward. Right foot steps back. Right hand to block or mat. Walk the foot in if you need. Left hand to left knee or left hand to the ceiling as we twist it open for 3. 2. 1, left hand back to left knee, to the floor, right foot forward. Inhale, half lift with knees bent. Exhale, forward fold, lengthen in your forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way to standing. Exhale, palms forward, arms by your sides. Deliberate and purposeful with our movements. Inhale, arms rise again, nice and smooth. Exhale, forward fold, knees bent. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step your left foot back. We'll stay off the back knee this time. Or once again, feet are hips width distance. And then from here, if you feel as though you're kind of on a tightrope and your feet are really on the same line, walk them a little wider, bring them as wide as your feet. From here, we're going to lift up into a high lunge, rising up all the way from the foundation beneath us. And this isn't a major deep bend where our back foot isn't so far back. We want to keep it in a little bit with a bend in the front knee or the bend in the back knee with the hip points lifting. So you should feel as though your hip points, these little frontal hip bones here, are lifting vertically as you sink a little bit into the standing pose. We're not looking for a workout. We're looking to restore the front of our hip. Arms will rise. Maybe a gentle back bend. Feel the hip stretch as you keep your hip points lifting vertically for 2. And 1, plant your hands forward, left foot forward, right foot back. We bring a big bend into the right knee as we rise up to our high lunge. Tricky on the balance, make sure your feet are hips width distance. And hands to hips to start as you bring these hip points high. Sink deeper into your front knee with your front knee right over your front ankle. Arms rise. Maybe take it into a gentle back bend here. Shift the weight forward. Palms will come down to the mat. Right foot steps forward to meet the left. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, folds. Again, inhale, half lift, and we'll pause. Bending in the knees if there's any tension in the low back. Lift through the chest. Stay lifted here as you maybe straighten the knees a little bit more. Mine can come all the way to straight. Yours may not. That's okay. Lifting forward with the chest, breathing deep into the hamstring. So you need to support the weight of your upper body and the leverage of the pose through the hamstrings. So plant down through the balls of your feet. Maybe engage the quads. Feel what that does to the hamstrings. Take all of the length you have from crown of head through tailbone and then come into a forward fold again. Okay, with the upper torso resting against your legs, we'll take the hands underneath the feet, all the way towards toes to wrists. This is called Padahastasana. All right, so we don't have to worry about that name. We can simply call it, a lot of people call it gorilla pose or feet to hands pose. Just want to get a stretch for the wrists here. So weight is mostly in the heels, but you can rock a little bit forward into the balls of the feet as you gently pull your shoulder blades down the back and elbows draw out away from you. Feel a pretty big wrist opener here. You can rock the weight back gently, release both hands. From here, hands planted firmly into the mat. Step it back to plank pose, please. Only a moment here in plank. I'm going to walk it back here. Only a moment in plank. Please lower the hips with the toes tucked under. So our heels are up. We're lifting through the chest. We're engaging the quads, upward facing dog. Let the hips descend slightly. Not so much so that you feel any torquing in the low back. Let's bring the tops of the feet to the mat now, adjusting the upward facing dog foundation. Lift through the chest. From here, bring the knees to the mat. Lower all the way down to the mat, please. Inhale, lift for one cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, two cobra. Chest lifting, minimal weight in the hands. Exhale, lower. Nothing maximum, just feel where you're at. Inhale, chest lifting. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale down. This will be our last one. Inhale up. Exhale down. From here, press it back, child's pose. Knees will come as wide as the mat. Hips will draw, or sit bones will draw towards the heels as you reach forward with the hands. Let the low back stretch out. Let everything come back into your own control, especially your breath. And secondarily, your mindset, making sure you're in a place of restoration. And then your goal here and your purpose here is restoration of the body, using some active poses to achieve that. From here, we'll take puppy dog pose. So the knees will be right underneath the hips. And it's just like our downward facing dog, except we're on our knees. So the hands will reach out. And this will give us a better ability to sink the chest towards the mat. So reaching forward with the hands, let the chest sink with your hips lifting. Feel the upper back stretching, opening, bending. For 3. Feel the armpit stretch. 2. And 1. Rock your weight forward. Come onto your forearms. Lift the chest through your arms. So our forearms are parallel to one another. We'll take Sphinx pose. So we're lifting through the chest, energetically sliding the elbows back in towards us. Lift the chin up towards the ceiling. So feel the back bend evenly distributed throughout your back. Let the pose do the work. Don't worry so much about torquing yourself deeper into the back bend. Just find a place where you're absolutely feeling a back bend, but nothing too intense. For 3, 2, and 1. From here, roll off your belly, come onto your knees. So feel your core turn on lightly. So our belly and hips are hovering from the mat. Our knees are gently pressing down. Okay. From here, you're just feeling the light core engagement here. So this isn't intended to be core work. It's meant to just feel, just allowing you, giving you the opportunity to feel your core engage lightly. Okay. From here, we can take the hands underneath the shoulders and then press it back through downward facing dog. Just one time, we'll lift the right leg high on an inhale, keep both hips square to one another, and we're just gonna breathe in this pose. Let the left knee bend if you need it. Continue to let the right leg lift. You can always bend your right knee and press the sole of your right foot towards the ceiling. That's always a nice option to give you a little bit more leverage, a little bit more control. Let the left hamstring open for 2. 1, bring the right foot down. We'll take the other side. Inhale, left leg high. Maybe the right knee is straight, maybe it's bent. Maybe the left knee is bent, maybe it's straight. Breathing here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently set the left leg down. And there's, again, right leg will lift. We'll use it as a transition. Inhale. Exhale, right knee will come to nose, your left knee will come to the mat. So control that movement with your core as your right foot steps forward. Lift your back knee, come onto your back heel. So shift the back heel down to the mat. Lift up and open to warrior 2 pose. So our first externally rotated pose at the hips, you'll probably feel that. It's the first one where our hips are rotating out away from one another. And we're not taking this as a super active pose, we're taking it as a restorative pose. So you can walk your feet in closer to one another and just find the place where your hips are feeling pretty good. They're opening and you know that you're in complete control. Press down into your feet from your hips. Feel the inseam of your legs turn on as you rotate the upper thighs away from one another. Hands can be at the hips here. We're not so worried about getting maximum strengthening in the shoulders. Just feel the hips opening. We'll take reverse warrior with a restorative approach. The right hand will come up and forward. Everything stays the same in the low body. Reverse warrior, breathe into your right rib cage. Extended side angle, restorative version. Feet can come closer together. We're not worried so much about strengthening in the legs. Right forearm to right quad, left hand up overhead or up over your left ear. Breathe into your left rib cage for 3, 2, 1. Coming back where you came from. Arms reach just one time. Just reach everything away from the center of your chest. We'll windmill the hands back down and then press it back to downward facing dog. Inhale, the left leg will lift. Exhale, left foot forward. Right knee down. Stepping the left foot forward. Drop the back heel. Windmill it open to warrior 2. So now we have front heel in line with the middle of the back arch. And again, it's not the deepest pose. We're rotating the upper thighs away from each other. Hands can stay at the hips. Lifting through the chest, draw the shoulder blades down the back. Pressing down into the feet from the hips. Feel the inseams of the legs turn on as you rotate the thighs away from one another. Flip the front palm up and forward. Reverse warrior. Putting very, very little weight into your right hand, but find a place other than your knee to press into. Breathe into the left rib cage. We'll rock it forward to extended side angle. Left forearm to left quad. Right arm will come up and overhead. Taking these movements slowly and deliberately. Breathe into your right rib cage for 3, 2, and 1. Coming back where you came from. Hands reaching away from one another. Extend through the shoulders. Windmill the arms down, plant the hands, step it back to downward facing dog. From here, we'll drop both knees. And then we'll bring the right foot forward into a low lunge position. And then from here, draw the left knee back away from you as much as you'd like. Straighten through the right knee as much as you can, as much as feels productive for today. And then get a nice hamstring stretch on the right side. Hands can come to blocks. What we want to make sure we're doing is supporting the pose, not falling into it. Stay lifted in the chest. We're not worried so much about depth. We just want to feel what it's like for our hamstring to open lightly. We're not going to develop open and supple hamstrings in this one pose. It really takes continuous effort, continuous practice over time. So let's not worry about becoming the most flexible hamstring people of all time here. Let's worry mostly about just letting our hamstring feel a nice stretch that we can do every day, any day. From here, you'll plant your left hand down and then bring your right hand to your right hip. Feel your right hip draw back as your right heel draws forward, supporting the pose with the left hand as you lengthen the pose with the right hand. So your right hip's drawing back, your right heel's drawing forward. That's really just an option as your toes draw towards your nose. Right hand comes back down. We'll rock it back into our low lunge. Arms will rise. So nice low lunge with arms lifted. Breathe here, maybe a gentle back bend. Exhale, plant your hands. We'll switch sides. So just take it up and then left foot forward, right foot back, right knee down. From here, straighten through your left heel, and then you're finding your pose. So any distance between your heel and your knee, whatever feels productive for you. Hands to something if you need to elevate a little bit taller, bending in your left knee if you need it, okay? So this would be what it might look like if you have a really tight left hamstring. Hands on basketballs, hands on something, or just hands to hips, straightening through your left knee as much as you'd like. Always the option to take the hands all the way to the floor, straightening through the left knee. Just breathing here again, letting this pose be about any form of stretch that you can sustain for as long as you know we're going to hold this pose. And something that's as intense as something you'd like to do. All right, that's maybe a little bit of a different way of thinking about something that we're doing in our training. But when we enjoy something, when it feels good, we're far more likely to do it more often. So that's why we want to take that approach here. We'll sink the left palm down into the mat if that's available. Left hand will come to the left hip. As you draw your left hip back with your left hand, your left heel draws forward, maybe straightening a little bit more through the left knee. For 3, 2, and 1. Place the hands back down if that was available previously. Rock the weight forward, step it back. Last downward facing dog of the day as your hips lift, your heels descend. So now as we've isolated both sides in that Ardha Hanumanasana pose, that half forward split that we just took. Now we feel what it's like to open both hamstrings simultaneously as we reach through the shoulders. Let the heels descend. From here, drop onto the knees. All right, so we're going to take a little quad stretch here, evening things out. So we'll press through the hands, and with both knees firmly planted underneath our hips, just bend into your right knee. Okay, just feel that. Okay, from here, we have the option to just stay here, bring the forearms to the mat, and then reach around with the left hand, grabbing the left foot. Might be pretty tough for some of you. Lifting through the chest, maybe draw the right knee away from you, get a nice pull on your hamstring, or a nice pull on your toe or foot. Gently release. Switching sides, bend the left knee. It's maybe plenty for some of you, okay? Maybe draw the left knee back away from you. Reach around, grabbing the left foot with your right hand. Okay, using that as a warm-up, so we'll press ourselves back up. If that didn't feel okay, this one probably will. So we'll come into our low lunge position here with left knee over your left heel, right knee directly underneath your right hip. From here, you might want to bring some padding underneath your right knee if it feels like there's too much pressure there. From here, you bend your right knee. Okay, so you're probably feeling this a little bit more than what we just did. Maybe you grab your back foot with one hand or both hands as you lift up through your chest. This is a really big quad opener. Somewhat tough on the balance too. So if you can't reach your foot, it's okay. Keep the hands at the hips. You can lift your hip points up and forward. You'll get a really nice, pretty complete quad stretch. If you can reach the foot, continue that action of lifting the hip points high, and then maybe pull gently on that back foot with either hand or both hands. For 2. And 1, gently release. We'll switch sides, left foot back, right foot forward. And then starting, again, maybe you fold your mat in half, maybe you put your knee on something soft. We'll bend the left knee. Maybe grab it with one hand or both hands. Lifting the hip points high. So these protrusions, these hip points, lift them up and vertical. And then maybe pull a little bit more onto that back leg, back foot. For 3, 2, 1. Gently release. Pressing it back or pressing it forward with the left foot, rolling onto our backs. All right, so this first one, we'll take this hip stretch and a few other stretches, and we'll be done for today. Take the right ankle over the left knee, flex your right toes furiously to your right knee. So we want to really make sure we're flexing the toes as much as we can towards the right knee to protect our ligaments of our knee. We have no interest at all in stretching our knee or the ligaments inside of it. Those should stay tight. The muscles are what we want to be supple and responsive. We don't want really any variability in our ligaments at all. Okay, so from here, grab right knee with right hand, left knee with left hand. The hands may not be in line with one another. That's okay. But gently descend the hips towards the mat as you plant both shoulders into the ground. And now this isn't about the most maximum stretch we can get in the right hip, but is a stretch in the right hip and something that feels very good, something that you would want to do any day. Positive, productive, knowing that we're not going to open our hips in a single day or in a single pose. These things take time. We need to introduce different forms of stress, especially mild stress, to our musculature for it to change over time. It's really just a way of letting our body know that this is a safe thing to be doing and that your body can trust you, that you can handle and enjoy and use the range of motion you're creating. So just like anything that doesn't happen overnight, this is the same thing. Takes time. Gently release the left foot to the mat. We'll just switch sides, right foot down, left ankle across, furiously flexing your left toes to your left knee. Grab left knee with left hand, right knee with right hand, gently descending the hips to the mat. Keep the shoulders firmly planted against the mat as you press the low back, sacral area, so the space between your hips that's connected to your spine. And then gently pulling with both hands, supporting the left knee with the left hand, making sure you're not feeling any form of stretch or pain in that knee. Taking your time, breathing deep. For 3. 2. 1. Gently release. From here, we'll take right knee into the chest. Option to take the left leg long. If you do take the left leg long, you do also have the option of bringing the right knee across your body for a nice reclined twist with the right forearm or the right shoulder blade planted firmly into your mat. Not worried so much about how far this right knee can come across the body and towards the floor, but how much you can sustain this pose, feeling good about what it feels like in your body with your right shoulder planted against the mat.
So we're twisting in the areas that our back actually needs it. From here, back in towards center with the right knee, grabbing the strap or whatever you have, wrapping it around the right foot, and we'll extend the right heel towards the ceiling. So controlled stretching using the strap. If you don't have the strap, you can just grab the back of your hamstring, maybe with a bent knee. Lift your right heel towards the ceiling and then breathe deep as you plant the shoulders down into the mat. Again, positive, productive stretches that feel good in your body so that you will come back to them. Engage your right quad if you're straightening through the right knee. Breathe deep here. And there's a culture or an aspect of the culture of yoga and a lot of physical practices that emphasizes depth and extremity. We want to get so deep. We want to pull our foot to our head in this pose. It's like, for some reason, we just want to see extreme things happen in others' bodies and our own bodies. But that's when it's a slippery slope, because that's the intention of those actions is for performance. And when we're attempting to perform with our body, we're not always considering what the effects are on the body and if that's actually a healthy thing to be doing. Gently release this hamstring stretch, and we'll take the left knee in towards the chest. Hugging in gently, extend through the right leg. And then we can bring the left knee across the body, maybe tucking the right hip underneath us. Left shoulder blade planted into the mat, and just continuing on that point. It's always a challenge to do things from a place of intrinsic motivation, in a place where we're the sole motivator of what we're doing. And because of that, when our actions are motivated by our peers and by culture, there's a tendency, and something that I've noticed, where we feel like we need to be something that we're not, or we need to force our bodies into a position that it may not be so comfortable in. Please bring your knee back into your chest. The left heel extends long, maybe with strap, maybe without. And so our challenge is to really feel what we're doing in our body and choose for ourselves whether or not that's beneficial, positive, and productive or not. And then from there, choose whether we're going to do that action or not. It may seem obvious, but sometimes it's really hard to lose sight of the fact that we're in full control of our body and the decisions we make with it. Gently release, let the strap go. Extend the legs long on your mat. Let the feet flop open from one another, palms will face up. Simultaneously, feel every part of your body just fall heavy into your mat, letting go of any muscular engagement, including your jaw. Let the jaw relax, let the tongue relax. Let everything sink into your mat. We'll be here for just about a minute. Slowly come back to your breath. And doing the best you can to stay in this mind space. Slowly roll up into a seated position. Calming the nervous system with every breath. Your spine grows taller with every inhale. Eyes to a close, breath softens. If it feels like an appropriate gesture to you, you may bring your hands to heart center. Taking just this moment to appreciate and honor your ability to practice things like yoga. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your practice. Namaste.